Hey everyone, welcome to The Explainer. Today we are diving into an absolute masterclass in digital tension. We're going to deconstruct the adrenaline-pumping survival horror mechanics of the game The Surgeon's Ward. And to do this, we'll be analyzing a frantic, highly engaging playthrough by the popular creator Narrative Ninja. We're going to look at exactly how game design and player performance come together to create a deeply captivating experience. So, let's just jump right in.
Okay, picture this starting point. We are skipping the traditional slow burn intro entirely, mostly because this game throws you directly into high-stakes vulnerability. You don't start with a weapon. Actually, you start strapped to a hospital gurney in a dark, flickering operating room. That quote? Yeah, that tells you absolutely everything you need to know about the stakes. No tutorial, just a crazy doctor right outside your door actively sharpening a giant bone saw. You're immediately on the defensive, completely vulnerable, and forced to figure things out on the fly if you don't want to become his next experiment.
Now, the core thread of this entire experience isn't just a monster that chases you when it sees you. The insane surgeon operates on what's called a granny-style NPC mechanic. Basically, he has acute sound detection. We're talking ears like a bat. Every single tiny movement you make, every step you take, turns into a potential game over. When you hear his heavy footsteps echoing down the hallway, your only option is pure stealth. You are forced to scramble into corner lockers, peek through the slats, and literally hold your breath as he stalks right past you.
So, what's the plan? To escape, the player has to execute a brutal three-step survival roadmap. First, find a way out of those restraints on the gurney. Second, explore the terrifying environment to find the main gate keys and fuel. And finally, make it to the old ambulance out in the parking lot and get it running. Sounds pretty straightforward on paper, right? Well, executing these tasks while being actively hunted is incredibly demanding.
Once that initial shock wears off, the gameplay shifts gears. It transforms from pure panic into a deadly game of hide-and-seek and resource management. You have to silently secure critical items hidden around the ward. You know the drill, opening drawers hoping for a tool, but finding only old bandages. It's this intense scavenger hunt in a dark, flickering environment where making a mess or just moving a little too quickly will draw the surgeon right to your location.
And in this ward, you aren't building a massive inventory. Every single item you find serves a highly specific life-or-death function. Take the lockpick, cleverly hidden in the side of a medical tray. That's your only way out of the initial cuffs. Then there's the gold coin found on a skeleton in a closet, which is essential currency to buy a distraction remote from a basement vending machine. And the slingshot? That is your absolute last resort to stun the surgeon if he gets way too close.
But here's the thing, just having the items is only half the battle. The execution is where the tension really lies. You can't just force the lockpick, you have to wiggle it slowly to avoid making noise. Once free, boom, immediate hiding in a locker to avoid detection. Later on, the creator executes this mastermind plan by throwing the remote into the far corner of the morgue. That loud beeping draws the surgeon away, opening a window to sprint to the garage. But then, and this is wild, the game throws another curveball. The floor's literally covered in surgical blades. Step on one and you're dead. The player has to time his jumps perfectly, launching over these blades to maintain his stealth and keep his momentum.
Okay, so the tension briefly plateaus during that careful puzzle solving and sneaking, but then it skyrockets into a full sprint the moment the player finally reaches the ambulance. Imagine this, you've navigated the blades, you've distracted the killer, you arrive at your escape vehicle only to realize it is completely out of gas. The player suddenly remembers seeing a fuel tank all the way back in the surgeon's office. Yeah, you're forced to turn around and go right back into the most dangerous part of the hospital, exactly where the enemy is prowling.
This forced detour creates the ultimate climax, mainly because of a terrifying power imbalance. On one side, you've got a slingshot and a beeping remote. On the other side, a relentless stalker wielding a giant bone saw. I mean, there is no fair fight here. If you get caught, that slingshot might buy you a second of stun time, but ultimately the sheer disparity in power creates an incredibly tense viewing and playing experience.
And that brings us to this authentic quote, which perfectly captures the frantic energy Narrative Ninja injects right at the breaking point of the playthrough. He spots the fuel tank in the office, but the surgeon spots him at the exact same moment. Instead of freezing up, the creator just embraces the chaos, shouting out a challenge to the killer, daring the surgeon to catch him as he grabs the tank and makes a mad dash for the exit. It's a fantastic injection of personality that turns a moment of sheer panic into a thrilling, cinematic action sequence.
Now the successful escape, sprinting back, pouring the fuel into the tank as the engine slowly turns over, and literally driving the ambulance out through the hospital doors with the surgeon waving his saw in the rearview mirror, that isn't just a mechanical win. It is a masterclass in resolving the tension escalator for maximum viewer satisfaction.
The game winds the audience up tighter and tighter with stealth, forces them to hold their breath during those blade jumps, and releases all that built-up anxiety in one loud, triumphant escape. That emotional roller coaster? That's the exact anatomy of why these playthroughs go incredibly viral.
Just look at this number, 1.5 million. That isn't just a like goal. It's a testament to the massive scale of community engagement and emotional investment in these high-tension Let's Play narratives. When an audience goes through that level of simulated stress and ultimate triumph alongside a creator, they want to interact, they want to subscribe, and they want to smash that like button. It builds a real family of viewers united by the shared experience of surviving the surgeon's ward.
So, we conclude with this provocative call to action pulled straight from the source. After such a massive adrenaline dump, the immediate question is, what comes next? I challenge you to reflect on what we've covered today. Think about the resource scarcity, the audio-based tracking, and the sheer panic of a forced fuel run. How would you handle the intense pressure of the next digital survival room? Keep that in mind the next time you boot up a survival horror game. Thanks so much for joining me on this explainer, and stay curious.